We're just a few days away. Hey, I'm Jeff Crank. I'm a talk show host on KVOR here in El Paso County. And I'll tell you what, welcome to the epicenter. El Paso County is the thunder and lightning of this operation, and you're going to get the job done. We're running a couple of minutes late, so we're going to get moving, and I just want to introduce to you a few of our great dignitaries and elected officials who are joining us today. I want to recognize Sheriff Mike Insminger from Teller County, Sheriff Tony Spurlock from Douglas County, State Representative Dan Nordberg, El Paso County Commissioner Peggy Littleton, and the chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, Ryan Call. I'd like to introduce our El Paso County Chairman to lead us in the pledge and to greet the crowd, GOP Chairman Jeff Hayes.
On behalf of the 172,000 fired up, motivated, and working El Paso County Republicans, welcome today. I'm so glad you're here. Let me tell you something. Good people like to hang around good people, don't they? Yeah. Nice people like to hang around nice people. And winners like to hang around winners. And that's why Governor Christie came 1,733 miles only to be with you and to be with Bob Beauprez and to be with Cory Gardner and Doug Lamborn and all our candidates, but he came to be with you as well because he knows a bunch of winners. And let me tell you one more thing. Winners work. And that's why you're here. You're giving your time, your talent, your treasure. You're signing up over there for the volunteer list, because we're going to push this thing right over the edge over the next 4 days, and we're going to do it together as a team. So let's get this thing started right, and let's pledge allegiance to the flag of the greatest nation that God has ever put on this earth. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's get her done.
Okay, let's get started with someone who really epitomizes law and order in the state of Colorado. Please welcome Colorado's Attorney General, John Suthers.
El Paso County Republicans, I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today to share the podium with the next United States Senator for Colorado, Cory Gardner, and the next Governor of Colorado, Bob Beauprez. And I'm also excited to share the podium today with my friend, Governor Christie. Governor Christie and I were fellow U.S. attorneys. He was the United States Attorney for New Jersey when I was the United States Attorney for Colorado. And we had the responsibility and the duty to help America recover from 9/11. And I got to know a lot about Chris. That's one of the experiences that has really forged me in terms of my views about law enforcement. And I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about law enforcement. Let me make an understatement to you. Public safety, law and order is not our current governor's strength. That's an understatement, okay? Folks, because that's an area of endeavor that calls for a lot of decisiveness, decision-making. That's not our current governor. And we need somebody who's looking out for our public safety, because after all, that's the most important governmental function there is our public safety. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the story about Nathan Dunlap. But do you know also that in 1993 we passed we made some tremendous changes in Colorado to hold 16, 17-year-old more violent juveniles accountable by allowing prosecutors to direct file against them. the governor a couple years ago signed a bill against the advice of all the district attorneys in this state, allowing those same juveniles who committed murder or whatever to petition to go back to juvenile court. The problem with that, in some cases, it's taking up to a year to go through that process to get those kids back in adult court so they can be prosecuted. That's just another example of his failure to deal with the realities of crime and justice. We also need a Republican governor, of course, because what does the governor in Colorado do? He appoints all the judges in Colorado. And we need a we need a governor that's going to appoint conservative judges that pay attention to the rule of law. These are just a couple of things, a couple of the reasons why we have to elect Bob Beauprez as our next governor of Colorado. Thanks so much.
Now this might be the moment you've been waiting for. Might be. I hope you'll welcome to the stage the governor of the state of New Jersey, Governor Christie. Colorado's next governor, Bob Beauprez. And the next United States Senator from the state of Colorado, Cory Gardner. Now, please welcome Barry Freeman, the president of the Colorado Springs Police Protective Association.
Barry. Nice to meet you again.
Well, good afternoon. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you for a few moments today. Not quite the company I was expecting before I got the email to appear here yesterday morning, but I'm honored to be here. Our organization, the Colorado Springs Police Protective Association, the CSPPA, we represent approximately 900 active and retired police officers and civilians of the Colorado Springs Police Department. And it's truly an honor as president of the CSPPA to stand up here with these elected officials and candidates today. The CSPPA is proud to endorse and support these individuals of such character and respect. Having elected officials at the state level that respect law enforcement's opinion and have interest in the needs of peace officers across this state is greatly appreciated. Candidates that understand that improvement is needed in the areas of parole reform guidelines, supporting the Second Amendment, repealing restrictive gun laws that were recently passed in this state, and encouraging communication between federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. Those are all monumental to our profession. Whoops. Thank you, sir. That's usually my modus of operandi right there. When I went golfing with the mayor, I hit him with a golf ball. So I always come back with a story for the CSPPA board. They say, "What did you do today?" Earlier this year, Senator Herpin and Senator Szabo invited me to speak at the state capitol in support of Jessica's Law. And at that time, Colorado was one of very few states that was yet to enact some fashion of Jessica's Law. And as a result, Colorado adopted more restrictive elements to our child protection laws and increased mandatory sentencing for repeat offenders and protect our children. We had also been asked on several occasions to review other House bills that affect law enforcement as well. A few weeks ago, Mr. Bob Beauprez sat before the CSPPA Board of directors and I. And he told us of his support for law enforcement, firefighters, first responders. He told us that he would always have an open door policy with us and he would listen to our concerns. And that's major for our profession. He told us how law enforcement needs the tools to do their job adequately. And he told us how revenue from marijuana needs to be used to help combat the burdens that those laws have created for law enforcement. And I tell you, after Mr. Beauprez met with us, we went into executive session to take a vote on if we wanted to endorse this individual or not. And I can respectfully say it's the quickest we've ever gotten anything done in that room. We had an overwhelming vote of approval, unanimous, and I believe we agreed to endorse Mr. Bob Beauprez's candidacy for governor of the state of Colorado before he was even off the premises. These are just a few of the examples of the cooperation we've already achieved, and I have full confidence of our collaborative working relationship continuing to flourish once these individuals are elected and re-elected. As a 32-year veteran of law enforcement, I respectfully thank each of you for supporting police officers and first responders across this state and Governor Christie across your state as well.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all.
Well, John Morris is no longer a state senator. But welcome, State Senator Bernie Herpin.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for being here, fellow Republicans. And Governor Christie, I'm surprised that you're here today, seeing as how Mayor Bloomberg says we don't have any roads, so I'm not sure how you got here. You know, as a volunteer with our Colorado Springs Police Department for nearly 30 years, public safety is very important to me, and that was one of my emphasis in my very first session in the State Senate. Helping get Jessica's Law passed was our primary goal, and we did that. We need a governor who will not only sign bills protecting our citizens when they come to his desk, but one who will advocate for legislation that will protect our citizens. Some of the failures we've seen in my first session was, as a former vice president of the local Mothers Against Drunk Driving chapter, the failure to pass a felony DUI bill was very disappointing to me, and it was killed on a party line vote. Also, we need bills that will strengthen the vehicular manslaughter statutes to put those people away who are repeat offenders, as we've tried to do with those who molest our children with Jessica's Law. So it's my honor to stand here before you. It's my honor to represent all the folks in this area in the Senate. I will tell you one quick story. After the election, the recall election, John Morris did not call to congratulate me, but Governor Hickenlooper did. I'm not sure what message that sent. But in the Denver Post, Morris was quoted as saying that Herpin is just a pawn of the Republican Party. Well, I'm a very willing pawn of the Republican Party, and I might be a pawn, but that red car out there has his license plates on it. Thank you very much.
All right, welcome to the stage the Congressman from the 5th Congressional District, Doug Lamborn.
One of the reasons I need and you need Bob Beauprez as the governor of Colorado is because he is a leader. He'll be decisive. If it comes to a capital punishment decision and whether there's clemency or not, he won't put it off to the next governor. He'll make the decision.
That's right.
And we need a decisive leader. And for senator, do you want someone like Mark Udall who votes with Barack Obama 99% of the time? So we need Cory Gardner.
Yes, we do.
And for Congress, do you want someone who, after seeing Barack Obama in action for 5 or 6 years and used to be a Republican, affiliated as a Democrat? No, that's my opponent. That's my opponent. We're going to go and win on Tuesday. Let's go get him. Thanks.
All right, welcome El Paso County Clerk and Recorder and the next Secretary of State of Colorado, Wayne Williams.
You know, it's wonderful to actually have a campaign event in my county. For those of you from outside the area, welcome. We're glad, despite Mayor Bloomberg's comment, you found a way to reach this area. Folks, when I had the opportunity of being trusted by the people of this county to run a recall election, an individual came from Boulder and registered to vote. And at that point, the governor, the current governor, took decisive action. He issued a press release. The press release said, "We're hearing disturbing reports." That was the extent of decisive action. I was called by the press to respond. And I said, I am so glad he's finally paying attention. I wish he'd paid attention before he signed the bill. Folks, we need a governor who listens to the people of Colorado and not the mayor of New York. We need someone who recognizes where Colorado is and whose heart is with the people of this state. We need a senator who, after a few years in office, and the case of the current incumbent, about 16 or 18, actually has something positive to say about what he's done instead of just attacking his opponent. And we need a Secretary of State who actually understands election laws, who knows what they're doing, and in fact is trusted by the people from both parties to run elections. I ask for your support for my candidacy for Secretary of State, but more importantly, I ask for your support for Bob Beauprez, Jill Repella for Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Cory Gardner for U.S. Senator. Thank you.
All right, the next sheriff of El Paso County, Bill Elder.
Hey everybody, are we energized today or what, huh? Governor Christie, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. 1,700 miles this guy comes to help support the next governor of this state, Bob Beauprez and Cory Gardner. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a governor in this state that will stand up for our gun rights. We need a governor in this state that will repeal these idiotic gun laws. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a governor that we can back all the way. Ladies and gentlemen, our next governor is standing right behind us. Let's support him. Thank you.
Please welcome 4th Judicial District District Attorney Dan May.
Now, isn't this amazing leadership behind me? I got to tell you, it is an honor and actually a thrill to be able to stand up here with these gentlemen. I think someone else ought to have that. Would you like to come up here and get a quick picture? Come on up here. Come on under the ropes. Your parents got a camera? Get in here with get in here with this. Look at this.
All right, thank you. Well done, Dan.
Good job. Ladies and gentlemen, make no bones about it. This election is about leadership. We have 3 excellent leaders standing behind me. Leaders for the Senate, where we can't get any votes done until we change it. Leaders for the governor's office, so we can make things happen again in this state. And maybe leadership in the presidency that doesn't know how to run foreign policy. This is an opposite to the failed leadership we're seeing today at every level, and in particular in the governor's office in the state of Colorado. When Nathan Dunlap, when our governor couldn't make up his mind whether he should get life or death and could only say, I'll let the next governor decide, it exposed to you what we already knew in leadership, what we already knew in law enforcement. He can't make up his mind, he can't lead, he can't make a controversial decision. We need a man who can. And that's Bob Beauprez. Herbert Swope said, I can't give you the formula for success, but I can give it to you for failure. And it's trying to please everybody all the time. General Colin Powell said a little more succinctly when he said, leadership and responsibility means sometimes you piss people off. I want a governor who knows his principles, his beliefs, and is willing to piss people off. It's the right thing to do. I don't want a governor who looks at feelings first in making their decisions rather than what are the right ideas, what are the right principles, and that's how I'm going to make my decisions. Where has that gotten us in the last 4 years? Nowhere. Good point. One of the things it's done is what's called truth in sentencing. What it means today when you read in the paper that one of my felons gets 10 years in prison, actually what happens is they go down there, and because of what this governor's done in the last 4 years and previous laws, they get good time, so that becomes 5 years. They get earned time, so now we're down to 3 1/3 years. They're then eligible for halfway houses, which is ComCore in Nevada, when they're 16 months from release, so now we're down to 2 years, and they're at the halfway house. They spend 6 months there, and they're back in their own bed. 2.5 years on a 10-year sentence. That's why this governor's candidate has made it a policy and an issue to stop that from happening. In 4 years, we've seen the decriminalization of theft, the decriminalization of drugs. The current governor wants to make it a misdemeanor for heroin, cocaine, and methamphetamine possession. We have seen habitual criminals let out of jail. We have seen a parole system that has gone haywire. In the last 4 years, scores, and I will repeat, scores of violent felons have been wrongfully released because they miscalculated their time. The head of DOC sits on the governor's cabinet. That is directly under the governor. He needs to be held accountable. And that's why Bob Beauprez has made parole changes a priority for his administration. Unfortunately, we've had 2 homicides in this county in the last 2 years on people on escape status on parole. One of them you just read about recently, Maceo January. The one where we had a newlywed couple, just bought their home, were about to become first-time parents when Maceo January broke into their home, 4 months on escape parole status, and killed both of them. And because of our current Democrat legislature and governor, it was 2 homicides. It should have been 3. This governor's candidate will change that if we put him into office. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason the majority of the elected sheriffs, 42 sheriffs, stand behind Bob Beauprez. There's a reason that the DA up in Arapahoe County, George Brockler, the DA in Lamar County, Jennifer Swanson, the DA in Grand Junction, the DA in Jefferson County, and your DA in this community is asking you to vote for our next governor, Bob Beauprez.
All right, you should never do this, but I've seen some elected officials we've left out. So I'm going to do the ones that I see, and those that I don't, I'm sorry, I'll try and get you next time. I see State Representative Janik Joshi. Representative Mark Waller. And El Paso County Treasurer Bob Balink. I did Dan North. I did this one. Yeah. Okay, now please welcome the next Lieutenant Governor of the state of Colorado, Jill Repella.
Hello, El Paso County. It's wonderful to be here. You know, as a commissioner in your neighboring county, in Douglas County, I can't tell you how exciting it is, and I know the momentum is down here, the momentum's in Douglas County, and it's across the state. There is a wave that's going to happen in the state and across this country Tuesday night, and I'm so excited to be part of it. county commissioner, I know at the core of everything that we do, at the very core of every human being, that one of the most important things is personal and public safety. Without that, it's very difficult to grow an economy. It is very difficult to educate children. It is very difficult to have a safe and sustainable community. And I want to point out and call a shout out to our sheriff in Douglas County, Tony Spurlock. And I want to thank him for everything he does. I'll tell you, the Board of County Commissioners, we commit resources to our sheriff's office so they can do their job. They do their job on behalf of our community. This false sense of security that's been happening at the state level and from our governor's office is appalling. The gun laws that were passed are appalling, all in the eyes of public safety. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's just the opposite. I'll share a funny story with you. Governor Hickenlooper continued to come to all the ribbon cuttings in Douglas County because he knew that we were very successful in growing our economy, and he wanted to grab credit for that. The one ribbon cutting that he didn't show up to, Cabela's. And I guarantee they didn't want him there either. Folks, I'll tell you, when Bob Beauprez asked me to join the ticket, I couldn't have been more honored, more excited, and more encouraged that Bob was willing to jump in this race, and the momentum that he gained. I'm very tired being frustrated at what's happening and watching what's happening. I know you're tired too. We are all doing this together. I jumped in because I care about Colorado. You're here because you care about Colorado. Bob and Claudia are in this because they care about Colorado. Cory cares about Colorado. Even Christie cares about Colorado. Let's get this done. Let's do it together. It's going to be a wonderful night, Tuesday night. Thank you for all you're doing.
Well, I knew I'd miss a couple, so let me get them in too. El Paso County Commissioner Darrell Glenn. And our chairman of the State Board of Education, and he will be the next state representative from House District 20, Paul Lundeen. 19. Thank you. Used to be 20, 19. That's right. All right, well, it's game time in Colorado. I want you to welcome your next United States Senator, Cory Gardner.
Hey, El Paso County, how you doing? Are you guys ready to win on November 4th? Are you ready for a new governor on November 4th? How about a new United States Senator? And how about El Paso County, we make Harry Reid a footnote in history? You know, now I gotta just defend somebody here. I'm gonna defend Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Because here's what happened. He was investigating people who opposed the Second Amendment, and he was driving down I-25 from Denver, and he saw that sign on the highway that said Colorado Springs left, so he turned around and went home. El Paso County, we have an opportunity to turn this country around November 4th, to be number 51, the 6th United States Senate seat, to take the majority back, to make sure that we are standing up for liberty and opportunity and free markets, to make sure that we rise up to that great, great American song that was written not too many steps away from here. Pikes Peak, America the Beautiful. God continue to shed grace on thee. And we can do that with this election. The ability to make sure that November 5th we wake up knowing that we did everything in our power to give our children and our grandchildren a better starting point than the one that we inherited from our parents. That's our obligation. That's the moral obligation that we all share. You know what? People always talk about what we can do next. People always talk about what happens. And they talk about the next election. El Paso County, we're running out of next elections. It's becoming too late for a do-over or another one. We can't wait for solutions on our debt. We can't wait for solutions on national security. We can't wait for solutions on how we can better educate our children, how to grow our economy, how to put this country back to work. We must do those things now. We must have the leadership to act. We must have the bold beliefs and courageous ideas to put forward an agenda of prosperity to make sure that on November 5th, that great headline of the Colorado Springs Gazette says we did it right here in El Paso County. We won this race. We sent Bob Beauprez to the governor's mansion, and we retired Harry Reid. Now, no one has done more to make sure that Bob Beauprez becomes the next great leader of this state than a gentleman that we all know as a very quiet, meek, mild-mannered governor of the great state of New Jersey. It is my great honor to introduce to you Governor Christie, the great state of New Jersey.
All right, all right. Cory, thank you. And you are going to do an extraordinary job for Colorado in the United States Senate. Now, I am thrilled to be here. And, you know, I wonder what all these references are to making people angry and shy and retiring. I don't know who you're talking about. But I'm here to tell you the truth, a truth you already know, about somebody who has committed this part of their life to public service. Somebody who understands the anxiety that Coloradans feel right now. And I have to tell you, I've said this before, you know, being governor is a much different job than any other job in government. Being governor, when you're close to the people that you're serving every day, in a job where they expect you to deliver every day for them and for their children and for their grandchildren. And it's unfortunate that over the last 4 years, John Hickenlooper has proven to be something very different than what he promised you all to be 4 years ago. See, here's why I always say exactly what's on my mind. It's advice that I got from my mother a long time ago. She said to me, Christopher, just be yourself. Because then tomorrow, you don't have to try to remember who you pretended to be yesterday. And unfortunately, what's happened to John Hickenlooper right now is the poor guy today is trying to remember who he pretended to be 4 years ago. And over the last 4 years, you've all seen that that was an act. It was an act. And he's become captive. He's become captive to the national democratic liberal political movement on every issue that matters. I have to tell you, I thought I had heard it all. Until today, I heard that he actually wants to decriminalize heroin. I turned to Beauprez, I couldn't believe it. I said, is that really true? I mean, I don't feel bad as the speaker, I'm sorry, I wasn't doubting your honesty, but I couldn't believe it. This guy has moved further and further left every day he's been in the governorship, and so let's keep moving him left right off the stage and out of the office. We need somebody in the governorship of Colorado who every day wakes up knowing what he's learned over his lifetime, what he believes in his heart. And that's the way he'll conduct himself each and every day in the job. Because believe me, everybody, you know, you can't possibly anticipate every problem that's going to come across a governor's desk. You just can't. We know about taxes and budgets and education. Those will all be there. But there will be crises that will come. I've experienced it in New Jersey. You've experienced here in Colorado. Crises, natural disasters, things where the governor has to take charge. And at that moment, let me tell you, there's no book they give you. You don't learn how to deal with that new governor's school. They do have new governor's school, by the way. They have it. I've been to it. And after November 4th, Beauprez going to new governor's school, too. But they don't teach you that stuff at new governor's school. When you sit there at the head of that table and a crisis is burning around you, and every pair of eyes at that table, leaders in their own right, are looking up at the head of the table, and they're saying, what do we do? Governor, where do we go? What do we do? What's first? At that moment, you can't take a poll. You can't sit and try to figure out, well, who did I pretend to be during the election, and how do I make it consistent with what is happening right now? All you can do is take the experience you get in your mind that you've developed over the years and the compassion you have in your heart and make those decisions honestly. That's the way you restore more prosperity in Colorado. That's the way you restore a better education system. That's the way you restore public safety from a governor who obviously has forgotten what public safety is all about. That's the way you make those decisions. And the guy who is going to make those decisions come January in Colorado, the guy who's going to restore your faith and your hope and your trust in the fact that a governor can really deliver like governors are doing for the Republican Party all over this country, is the guy who I'm here once again to say we support, and I hope you support, the next governor of Colorado, Bob Beauprez.
Thank you, Governor Christie. And thank you, let me just say it, Senator Cory Gardner. Doesn't that sound so good? Governor Christie, thank you very much for being with us today yet again. It's very important for me and for Colorado that we have Governor Christie, the RGA, governors all across this nation helping Colorado restore some of its greatness again. One more hand for Governor Chris Christie. I want to begin by introducing your next First Lady, my wife, Claudia Beauprez. 44 years and counting. And Governor Christie, whenever I wondered just for a second what right and wrong really was, Claudia was always there to remind me. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Yes. Our daughter and son, Melanie and John, are also here. Melanie's husband, Alan Fuller, is here. And their daughters, Virginia Ann and Catherine. And our daughter-in-law-to-be is here, John's fiancée, Monica Owens. Jill Repella, my running mate, I couldn't be more proud. So much for this war on women stuff, right? Do we have a great statewide ticket? You saw much of it up here. We ought to include Cynthia Kaufman in that group. Walker Stapleton in that group. We got a tremendous team, Colorado. Let me take just a second or two and try to crystallize what this election's about. It's about what I hope is still a very much a word that we use, a word that we're proud of. I hope it hasn't fallen out of style. That word, freedom. When I looked at this race, when Claudia and I thought first about this race, and we asked Coloradans, how are you feeling? Well, you look over here and you see Pikes Peak and you say, well, I'm pretty good. I'm here after all. And of course we're pretty good since we're in Colorado. It's the greatest place to be. Where else would you rather be? No disrespect, Governor. There you go. But Coloradans would also tell me very quickly, but we don't feel great. We don't feel like Colorado anymore. We feel like we got weights around our ankles and somebody's hand right around here. Whose hand is that? It's government. Government holding us back. Government that denies the fact that we are created in the image and likeness of the Almighty who sent us here. The very definition of goodness. And if we're the definition of goodness in that image and likeness, why do we need a government to restrict and control and restrain and infringe on those freedoms that are inherently ours? We need a government that gets out of our way, that lifts us up. On John Hickenlooper's watch, we didn't get Bernie's felony DUI bill. We didn't get that robust Jessica's law. We got a watered-down version of it. We didn't get a mandatory sentence for vehicular homicide. But you know what we did get? We got a temporary reprieve for Nathan Dunlap. And you know what else we just found out we got? The 3 men on death row, there's only 3. They now have 4 hours a day of unsupervised leisure time. Why?
because of their good behavior. Give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. One of Dan May's colleagues, Peter Weir, the DA from Jefferson County, said last week, never in his entire career as a prosecutor, as a judge, now as a district attorney, has he seen a 4-year stretch that was more offender-friendly than the last 4 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time you have a governor that looks out for the rights of the citizens and especially the victims of crime. And we've got a governor who actually told the sheriffs, I didn't know you wanted to talk to me. All he had to do was part the drapes in his office. They were standing on his steps. And then he tells them, oh, I didn't know you wanted to talk to me, and I didn't talk to Michael Bloomberg. His own records said he had talked to Michael Bloomberg. Why do you have to lie? Why do you have to reinvent yourself? Just shoot straight with people, literally and figuratively. Be honest. You know, I did mention the advice I get from Claudia. I got pretty good advice from some other people too, and I often talk about my mother and dad. And probably like your mothers and dad, probably like you were with your kids. My mother and dad had no problem understanding that there were rights and wrongs, and they had no problem distinguishing which was which as I was growing up. I wouldn't pretend that you're going to always agree with me. There will probably be times when we have differences, but I can guarantee you one thing. I can make a decision, and I will make decisions. And every single day I will get up driven by the same principles that my dad instilled in me. Go do what you think is right, what in your heart you know is right, guided by those ancient principles of right and wrong. And if it isn't to protect and defend and preserve your freedom, I'll be against it. If it infringes in any way, shape, or form on your freedom, I'll be against it. Because I believe and trust in you. The goodness, the decency, the genius, the creativity of you. And Reagan told us, didn't he? When government expands, freedom necessarily contracts. The biggest job a governor has is not to govern the people, it's to govern the government. We've got just a little more than 4 days left. A little more than 4 days. And a great American, another great American, a great guardian of freedom himself, Vice President Dick Cheney, told me earlier this week. He said, you know, a governorship is a terrible thing to waste. And he says it looks like that's exactly what's happened in Colorado for a while. And he said, I think in many ways, and he's been through about as many elections as any of us that are here today, he said, I think this may be that most important election of our lifetimes until we get to 2016. But he said the reason this one is so important is because it is so critically important to setting the stage for that 2016 election. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us that are privileged to be on the ballot, and I know all of you that are here today, are going to do everything we need to do, can do, are called upon to do in the next few hours before Tuesday night at 7 o'clock is here. Let me thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've already done. What you're going to do in the next 3 or 4 days, and then what we're all going to get done in the next few years to do what Ben Franklin told us we had to do. Save this republic. God bless you. God bless you. Good job, Bob.
Okay,
Way to
now,
go, Jeff Crank.
all right, Bob. Listen, we have. How many of you are Broncos fans? Governor Christie's probably even a Bronco fan. Listen, John Elway one time was asked about being in the game, and he said that the greatest thing about playing in sports is that at the last 2 minutes, you hope to be in the game. And right now, we're in the game. You get to decide in the next 4 days whether we retire John Hickenlooper, whether we retire Mark Udall, and whether we send Harry Reid back to Nevada to play with his grandkids or not. Let's get it done. Make sure that you vote. You need to make sure that your ballots are dropped off. Don't mail them at this point. Take them down and drop them off at one of the drop-off locations. God bless you. Thanks for being here.